Hello and welcome. In today's video, we're going to go back to the color compass so we can start to apply your color palette into your home in specific sectors to enhance your hopes and dreams and aspirations. Hi, my name is Erica Meyer, and I'm an architect who 15 years ago hired a Feng Shui consultant for my apartment at the time and fell in love with the practice because it's this beautiful combination of interior design and life design. You know, you're stacking your habits, you're setting goals, you're working towards something. You could take all the work that you've done with your life coach, or if you are a life coach, you can supplement your program with this kind of information in putting it into your home. So your three-dimensional environment can start to embody your hopes and dreams. And at the very least, you get a beautiful house. It's a win-win situation no matter what, is how I view it. So let's dive back into our color compass. So let me bring that up here. On the screen, you can see both my radial color compass, which is on the left, and then on the right is the grid, which has similar information done in different graphic patterns. I personally like the color compass to do an overlay on top of your floor plan of your home. We can start to use GPS mapping and put that color compass on top so then you can see how these aspects radiate from your home. But the grid is also just a really nice, it's a little cleaner, it's a little easier to write on. So let me get my reading and writing glasses. And in today's video, we're talking about the 5 elements in the color compass. And in this grid, you can see 9 sectors, divisions, areas. But there are only 5 elements. And let me remind you that my color compass has south at the bottom of the graphic and north at the top, which is visually different from a traditional Feng Shui compass. All right, so we've got 9 spaces, but only 5 elements. So let's go through here and just highlight first what these 5 elements are. First, we've got wood here, and we'll use the grid in the beginning here. So we've got 2 sectors with wood, and that is the east and southeast are our 2 wood sectors. And then in the south, we have fire, south. Now, my favorite is the fact that the earth element takes 3 sectors. So I'm just going to go in this diagonal. This is earth, wood, fire. And next is metal in our west and northwest. Number 1 component, or let's call it the anchor element of these spaces. I like that because all of these spaces certainly invite all the elements in different proportions, but there is an anchor to each sector. So the southwest, center, and northwest sectors use earth as their anchor element. Ooh, I love that. Okay. And then finally in the north, our anchor element is water. Okay. Now, each one of these elements have qualities to them. Let's start with water. Is flexible and can shapeshift, really, right? It can go from solid to liquid to gas. In the east and southeast, wood represents growth, and earth is stability. And finally, in the northwest and west, metal is decisive and discernment. So then each one of these qualities then also has a corresponding shape or graphic that we can then again layer further meaning into that which we select in our home. All right, so let's go. We'll start in the east and southeast again. As you can see here, we have 2 different kinds of greens. And in our grid, I've got little graphics of bamboo and little shoots here because these are our areas where the sun, let me get a little sunshine here. No matter where we are in the world, The sun is going to rise in the east and set in the west. And near the equator is warmer and the poles are cooler. And so that's why our corresponding warmer colors are closer to the equator and cooler colors to North and South Pole. So now in the east and southeast is our sector for wood and growth. So all the greens can be represented in this area. The reason why we went into personal color palettes first is because I don't want you to get lost or invest in somebody else's favorite green. Dark green is a beautiful color, but if it doesn't speak to your heart and soul, it's not the right green. Maybe you want a sage green or a light lime green, a pastel-y green. Make sure that you are selecting colors which truly speak to you and your family, not the trend of the day is. If you're going to select patterns or artwork, it is vertical, just like tree trunks. Think of that upward movement growing towards the sun. So rectangle, a vertical rectangle is the element for that area, the pattern. If you're dying to put in some vertical green tile in your house, maybe you've got a bathroom in the east or southeast corner that you can use that kind of tile. Only if you love it, okay? Only if you love it. Now, if we go into the south, where our element of fire and passion is, all of our colors are going to be in those bright, vibrant, beautiful colors, the bright reds, yellows, oranges, anything that you feel passionate about. And the shape is a triangle or stars. Now, Earth, as it crosses the southwest, the center, and the northeast, we've got 3 different colors represented here. And think about how many different earth formations that we have on this big blue marble of ours, right? So think of Sedona, Arizona in that southwest and all of those warm colors. And in the center of the country, I have yellow here, but we can go into all of the different deep, rich colors of the plains, that fertile soil that is feeding our crops and helping our plants grow. And then in the northeast, where it's getting cooler and darker, what comes to mind are those like northern rocky shores and the darker granite rocks and cliffs. So that is why I have chosen this orangey pink and the yellow and this kind of dark aquamarine greenish color for my color palette of earth. But you don't have to go that broad if you don't want to. Select earth colors that appeal to you. And it could be one shade of brown that goes from a lighter to a darker. Have fun with it, right? This is where you get to decide what earth means to you. And again, it could be sandy beaches, right? Or we visited Yellowstone National Park last year, and there is the Yellowstone Canyon and the cliffs look yellow. It's beautiful. Choose colors that speak to you. This is our fantastic foundation to build the rest of our house color palette off of. And the shape for the earth elements is square. So think of building blocks and brick, and it could be, maybe it's a horizontal rectangle. I think we have room for interpretation. In fact, there's always room for interpretation, right? So square is our starting point, and you interpret from there. And let's move into the west and northwest, into the metal sector, where it's discernment. The shape in the metal sector is circle. And again, there is lots of room for interpretation here. I think of little mercury beads or metal rods or gold nuggets that you find while panning in the gold rush, right? It's up for your interpretation, but have fun with it. And then finally, our final element, again, is water in the north, and that is waves. Now, I said they are anchor elements to these areas to have well-balanced design. So we don't design ourselves into an all gray house again. I am giving you the authority to add all of the elements into these areas. Good design incorporates all elements in some form. Sometimes it's more subtle, sometimes it's very obvious. These anchor elements, they are metaphors, they are archetypes. And just like so many, like literature archetypes, there are good qualities and bad qualities of each element. Some play well together, some do not. Some play well in only certain seasons, etc., etc. There are all these interesting different variables that we can incorporate into our rooms that we're designing with these anchor elements. And then how do they play into supporting that main anchor? And then the final piece is that you were born on a certain day, in a certain place, at a certain time. And that also, just like your personal color palette plays in, you were born under a certain element. Let me show you the chart that I have created. And this chart is very similar to what Feng Shui consultants use. Again, let me remind you, I have not been trained in Feng Shui, but I do know that it is these elements are based on a lunar calendar. And as I was putting this sheet together, I started to notice, which had not been highlighted in others, that they start to group in 2-year segments. So let me show you. I was born in 1973 here, so I'm water. But look and see how 1972 is also water. And then every 2 years, the anchor element changes. Interesting. So this chart is saying that I am water. And I kind of like it. Yeah, I kind of like blue. I mean, I wore this on purpose today for you because I'm water. I like to be flexible and communicate and teach and share and support growth. But I also love stability in my life and organization. I think I'm good at making decisions. I am passionate about things. So all these elements are still a part of me. All these elements are a part of us, no matter what. We all have an anchor annual element based on a lunar calendar per this chart. And we all have different variables of all the other elements, and you can play to those strengths when you want to, when it's appropriate in your home, and when it's appropriate with your spouse and your loved ones and your community. I'm water. My husband is earth. And sometimes he is my rock. And sometimes I think I am turning him into a mudslide. That's the fun part of archetypes and metaphors, is that we can have fun with these analogies. Ooh, 1935 is purple. A lot of these Feng Shui charts didn't have a date, and I did not feel comfortable putting a date onto it, so I just made it purple. And then also you can see Happy Lunar New Year on January 29th, but I could not find other charts that went into the future, so I just put the years. And again, we can refer to our Feng Shui practitioners for exact dates going forward. But you can start to look and see that in the next 2 years, the anchor element is fire, and then earth, and then metal, and then water, and then we cycle again. We're in period 9 that I have off here to the side that lasts for 20 years. And if I zoom out, you can see that this is actually a 180-year cycle that moves through that grid. Okay, that's it for now. Screenshot it. And in the future, I will have a website where you can, download it, share it, etc. So more to come on that. For today, your homework. Yay, there is no homework, actually. No. Your homework is please like, subscribe, follow me, share, leave a comment. I would love to know what you're thinking and if this is helpful. In the future videos, I'm going into my home and show you how I use these anchor elements in certain areas, how I use certain patterns, objects, and how you can start to use these ideas. If you're still here, you get that bonus that I promised last time, which is my captive bee, my winter bee bizarreness. In the last video, I showed my cute little 4 little bees that came into my house, and unfortunately, they did not last. Only 2 of them made it through the night, and those 2 guys didn't make it much longer. But I was happy that I had that little bug carrier to give them a final resting place rather than just scooping them up into the garbage can. It was a pleasure to help those little guys for a moment. I hope that this has been fun and you can start to look at your color palette, start looking at the color compass, and again, clean and dream. Let's get ready to decorate this spring. But for right now, it's still cold. Just clean and dream. Have a good one.